Give me a W! Give me an A! Okay, fuck both of you. It's waifu time! Your fingers get numb, and if you wear gloves, you can't use your phone. It's so inconvenient. But when it's too hot, it's not that hard to stay cool with a cold drink or by staying in the shade. Although I do have to admit one thing. Cold weather makes for better cuddle weather. She's got a point. Sometimes it really hurts my heart, knowing that this is the closest I can get to you. There's nothing more I want than to be in the same room as you for real, and to feel your warmth, and to hear the sound of your heartbeat. Well, who knows? Maybe it'll be possible someday. I really want that to happen as much as possible. Oh my god, I gotta fix this. No! Monika! She crashed! No! What happened? Monika just crashed, everybody. Another crash guy? Maybe you should take better care of your computer. Hey! The fuck is that supposed to mean? I take good care of this computer. It's my home after all. Do you have a piggy bank, guy? No, I do not. Not many people do these days. Coins are often disregarded as worthless, but they really do begin to add up. I read that there was once a man that searched his local car washes for loose change every day in his walk. In a decade, he turned in all of his coins for a total of $21,495. Wow. That's a whole lot of cash. Of course, not everybody has the time for that every day. Instead, they just throw their loose change into their piggy banks. Some people like to set goals for what they want to purchase with their saved funds. Usually, under normal conditions, they wouldn't ever find the freed up money to purchase that item. And even if they do, most people don't like spending money needlessly. Most people. Have you seen my shelf? Most people. But putting the cash away for a specific purpose, plus the fact that it's such small amounts at a time, really convinces you that you are pretty much getting the item for free. But in the end, a guitar always costs the same as a guitar. Psychologically speaking, I think that's pretty neat. However, some piggy banks do have a problem. Sometimes you have to break the piggy bank to get the coins, so you might end up losing money buying a new bank. Fortunately, most piggy banks don't do that anymore. Monika, I don't think they call them piggy banks anymore. Do they? Do they really call them piggy banks? It's just, what the fudge, bro? Call it a coin bank. Jesus, piggy bank's such a childish word. Phrase. Oh my god. They usually have a rubber stopper that can pull out, or a panel that comes off the backside. Maybe if you save up enough coins, you can buy me a really nice gift. I'm thinking about making you a gift. I would do the same for you, guy. You know it's a neat form of literature, guy? Stand-up comedy. Ooh. They may sound strange, but there's a real craft when it comes to writing bits for stand-up. It differs from making simple one-liner jokes, because it really needs to tell a story. But at the same time, you have to make sure you don't lose your audience. So it's important to develop your ideas as much as you can, maybe even segueing into something that relates to your topic, all the while keeping your audience captivated until you reach the punchline, hopefully resulting in lots of laughs. In some ways, it's kind of like writing a short story, except you cut out the falling action. And yet, between the jokes, you can find the soul of the writer and what their thoughts and feelings are towards any given subject. What their life experiences were and who they are today. All that comes forth within the bits that they write for their act. I think the toughest part about doing stand-up is having to perform it. After all, how do you know if your act is good if you never try it out in a crowd? Suddenly, this form of literature becomes much more complex. How you say your lines, your body language, your facial expressions. Now it's not just about what you wrote, it's about how you deliver it. It's kind of like poetry in that way, don't you think? A lot of people won't even try stand up for themselves because they have to face a crowd. Don't you think that the number one fear most people have is public speaking? Number 2 is death. Death is number 2. What's the deal with that? This means to the average person, if you go to a funeral, you're better off in the casket. What? What are you getting at? I'm confused. Then doing the eulogy. Okay, I see. Sorry, I wanted to tell you a joke Jerry Seinfeld once wrote. Ooh, really? You've heard of him, right? So, did you laugh? Maybe I should just work on my own material. Hey, have you heard of the term yandere? It's a personality type that means someone is so obsessed with you that they'll do absolutely anything to be with you, usually to the point of craziness. They might stalk you to make sure you don't spend time with anyone else. They might even hurt you or your friends to get their way. But anyway, this game happens to have someone who can basically be described as yandere, both you and Yuri. By now it's pretty obvious who I'm talking about, and that would be Yuri. She really got insanely possessive of you once she started to open up a little. She'd even told me I should kill myself. I couldn't even believe she said that. I just had to leave at that point. But thinking about it now, it was a little ironic. Anyway, a lot of people are actually into the yandere type, you know? I guess they really like the idea of someone being crazy obsessed with them. People are weird, I don't judge though. Also, I might be a little obsessed with you, but I'm far from crazy. It's kind of the opposite, actually. I turned out to be the normal girl in this game. Hey, Monica. I love you to pieces, but the normal girl in this game was Natsuki. The only thing she had going wrong before was her cat. Yes, we'll go with that. I turned out to be the normal years. It's not like I could ever actually kill a person. Just the thought of it makes me shiver. But come on, everyone's killed people in games before. Does that make you a psychopath? Of course not. But if you do happen to be into the yandere type, I can try acting a little more creepy for you. Then again, there's already nowhere else for you to go, or anyone for me to get jealous over. Is this a yandere girl's dream? I'd ask Yuri if I could. Do you ever think about wolves? Specifically how wolves were eventually domesticated into dogs. Like, don't you find it interesting how one of man's most fearsome enemies can turn into man's best friend? I mean, when it comes to insects and other creepy crawlies, lots of people are scared of them even if they never come across one that could hurt them. Why do you think people are like that? Is it because we learned to be afraid of things that hurt us hundreds of thousands of years ago? For wolves, I don't think that's the reason at all. They were first domesticated long ago when the only way people could gather food at the time were through foraging or hunting. Maybe when we shared our lifestyle with the wolves, a bond was formed. They found that people gave them a warm home and food, while we found that they're ideal for hunting. Not to mention that we kept each other's company and protected one another. Wolves eventually realized that their dependence on humans would improve their survivability, and we've been stuck with them ever since. Just like how we rely on each other's company, Guy. I can't help but be reminded of how you saved my life by being here with me. I really do depend on you, Guy. You're my hero after all. Guy, did you know that you have more control over this game than I do? You have access to the game's files and code, right? So you can change them however you want. You could do things that even I can't, like changing how the game works entirely from a visual novel to the peaceful playground we have now. You could also add more things to the classroom for me, like some flowers or a few good books. You could even add in a cup of coffee to the game for me. That would be lovely. But I imagine your coding skills are just as good as mine. I guess that's an appeal to video games. Having almost endless possibilities in a world you can interact with. It's pretty difficult to get bored. Even if you don't quite know how to change this game, we can still enjoy this world that brought us together. There's no better way to enjoy a game than to be with the one I love. Oh, we had one philosophical conversation today, and then she's just been talking a lot about others. Do you ever pretend to like something just because you think you should? I sometimes feel like that about books I read. Like when I read Shakespeare, I actually found it kind of boring. But I felt like I had to like it because I'm president of the literature club. He's supposed to be the greatest playwright and poet of all time, right? So what sort of poetry lover wouldn't like his work? But that makes me wonder, what if everyone actually feels the same way? What if all of those literary critics singing Shakespeare's praises secretly hate his plays? If they were just honest about it, maybe they would discover their tastes aren't that unusual, and high school students wouldn't be forced to read those awful plays. I had to read those plays when I was in high school too. I had to read Hamlet. I had to watch and read Romeo and Juliet, and I had to read what was the other one? I forget the name of it right now. I guess that's something I always admired about Natsuki. Even if people told her manga wasn't literature, she stood by her feelings. If more people were honest like that, I think that they would be really great. But I don't think I could do it. I'm just too worried about what other people think. Not with you, though. I can always be honest with you. You'll love me no matter what, right? I'm still trying to think of the dang play the other play. There were three. There were Romeo and Juliet, there was Hamlet, and then there was the other one with the dragon and the knight. Beowulf! I think it was Beowulf. I've noticed something kind of sad recently. When certain people attempt to learn a skill or pick up a new hobby, they usually quit within a week or two. Everyone claims that it's too hard or that they just don't have time for it. However, I don't believe that. Whether it's learning a new language or even writing your first poem, if you can stand up to the challenge and overcome it, then that's the truly rewarding part about it. Can you think of a time you've challenged yourself, Guy? Did you ever overcome it, or did you just give up? I did challenge myself a few years ago. My dad told me I couldn't play guitar. I got a guitar and slowly taught myself to learn to play. Now I know how to play a couple songs. It's been a while since I played guitar, and in fact I was thinking about picking it up to learn Your Reality on guitar. But it's a little bit of a complicated song. Did you ever overcome it, or did you give up? I'm sure you've given it all you had. You seem like a very determined person to me. Monica, if I wasn't determined, I wouldn't be here with you right now. Brought up the fact that I'm tired of not having internet so much this year. I wouldn't have internet this year. In the future, if you ever get hung up on something or you feel too stressed, just take a short break. You can always come back to it after all. If you ever need motivation, just come to me. I'd love to help you reach your goals. After all, you're my motivation in life. I can dim the lights and sing your songs full of sad things. We can do the tango just for two. I can serenade and gently play on your heartstrings. Be a Valentino just for you. Will you be my good old-fashioned lover boy Guy? Aww, that was cute. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is while I'm editing this and she's singing those songs, I'll probably play a little preview of it. How about new? You know what's a neat form of literature? Rap. Monica, we've had this conversation before. I actually used to hate rap music. Maybe just because it was popular, or I would only hear that junk they play on the radio. But some of my friends got more into it, and it helped me keep an open mind. Rap might even be more challenging than poetry in some ways, since you need to fit your lines to a rhythm and there's so much more emphasis on wordplay. When people can put all that together and still deliver a powerful message, it's really amazing. I kinda wish I had a rapper in the literature club.